day Kemi was born was not like any other. In the hospital, everyone expected to hear a baby cry. But when Kemi came into the world, she didn't cry at all. She slowly opened her eyes, looked around as if she knew something no one else did, gave a tiny smile, and then just like that, she fell asleep. The room went quiet. The doctors and nurses stared at each other, confused. This wasn't normal. Newborn babies were supposed to cry. Was something wrong? They ran all kinds of tests to make sure she was okay. But every test said the same thing: she was perfectly healthy. Nothing was wrong with her, and yet something about her felt different. No one knew it yet, but this was just the beginning of something strange. When Kemi turned 1, her parents threw a big party to celebrate her. But something strange happened that day. The cameraman tried to take pictures of her, but it was really hard to catch her with her eyes fully open. She kept drifting between being awake and falling asleep, like she was in 2 worlds at once. It was almost as if staying awake was too hard for her, or like she saw something the rest of them couldn't. When Kemi started school, something unexpected began happening every morning during assembly. While the other children lined up, clapping and dancing to cheerful songs, Kemi would suddenly drop to the ground. At first, the principal thought she was fainting, but after a while, it became clear this wasn't a medical emergency. It was just Kemi being Kemi. From then on, as the rest of the school gathered outside for assembly, Kemi stayed behind in the classroom, curled up on a chair, fast asleep, peaceful and still, like a baby goat in the shade. One afternoon, Mr. Smith, a friend of Kemi's father and owner of the furniture shop down the street, came hurrying to their house, knocking urgently on the door. "Mama Kemi, your daughter hasn't moved an inch from the chair she sat on at Malam Nuru's shop while buying biscuits. Please, come and see if she's all right." Mama Kemi chuckled softly. "Oh, don't worry, she's fine, just taking one of her little rests." Mr. Smith blinked, still confused. "Resting, you say?" If you say so," he mumbled, scratching his head as he walked away. Mama Kemi was always worried and honestly a little tired herself. No matter what she did, Kemi wouldn't stop moving like a sleepy snail. Every morning was the same battle. She tried singing loud songs, banging pots, and even clapping right beside Kemi's ears. But the girl would yawn, turn over, and sink back into sleep like nothing happened. Mama Kemi once put sliced onions under her pillow, hoping the sharp smell would wake her. Kemi only wrinkled her nose, rubbed her eyes, and whispered, "Yum! It smells like jollof," before dozing off again. It didn't matter what she tried, shouting, jumping, even dancing. Kemi's sleep always won. It was like she had a special agreement with Dreamland. In the school dining hall, things were always a bit wild. But for Kemi, they were dreamier than usual. She'd often doze off right in the middle of lunch, spoon still in hand, her mouth slightly open like she was about to take a bite, but never did. Her classmates would joke, waving fried plantain in front of her face to see if she'd wake up. Nothing. Kemi slept like a rock. One day, after lunch, she nodded off again, this time in class. Mrs. Josephine spotted her, and she was not amused. "Kemi," she shouted, clapping her hands loudly. "Wake up this minute. This is a classroom, not your bedroom." Kemi jolted upright, rubbing her eyes. "Sorry, Ma. I was talking to God in my heart." Mrs. Josephine raised an eyebrow. "Talking to God? You were snoring like a motorcycle." Kemi gave a sleepy grin. "Yes, Ma. That's how he hears me best." The entire class burst out laughing. Even Mrs. Josephine couldn't help the tiny smile tugging at her lips as she shook her head. Her mother visited the school more times than she could count. One day, she sat Kemi down. "My daughter, tell me the truth. Does your spirit go to work every day, or are you employed in the sleeping world? Do they pay you for sleeping here on earth?" Kemi frowned. "Mommy, you worry too much. This sleep is natural. Some people read, some play football, some even sew cloth. But for me, I sleep." Her mother exclaimed in shock. "Jesus, my child's talent is sleeping." Days rolled into years. Kemi grew to be a beautiful lady, admired by all the men who passed her by. Her personality was intact. She smiles at every given time, radiating a good heart. At a family friend's wedding ceremony, while others were dancing and rejoicing with the couple, Kemi was in a corner, fast asleep on her chair, throwing her head up and down. It was at this point that Femi walked to her. "Hello, hello, beautiful damsel, hello." She jerked back to life and muffled, "Hi," Femi replied. "Sorry for cutting short your sweet sleep." "No, sir, I am okay. Can I sit by your side?" Femi asked. "Yes, please do, T," she said, with a beautiful smile radiating from her face. Just as Kemi was rubbing her forehead, she looked up, and there he was, Femi, a fine, tall man with glasses that made him look like a rich professor. "I hope you are okay," Femi asked. "I'm fine," she said, pretending to be alert. "I noticed you've been meditating deeply." Femi smiled. "Oh, yes, I was, praying." You pray very deeply." Kemi smiled, trying to act with confidence. They chatted very intensely, as if they knew each other for years. He smiled. "I like peaceful people. You look peaceful. My life is peace itself," Kemi said proudly. Though still struggling to keep her eyes open all through the party, at the end of the wedding ceremony, they exchanged numbers. From that day on, Femi began calling her morning, afternoon, and night. They would talk for hours on end, and surprisingly, not once did Kemi fall asleep. A few weeks later, they agreed to go on a date. The plan was to meet at exactly noon, but on the day of their outing, Kemi showed up 2 full hours late. "I'm sorry, I overslept," she apologized. Femi smiled. He liked her too much to complain. Love was truly blind. This continued for some months. At a particular time, she jokingly warned Femi concerning her sleeping habit. Femi laughed. "I thought you said you loved to pray deeply," she laughs. Femi promised to be patient with her. And truly, Femi was patient, so patient that even Kemi's mother couldn't believe it. Femi must be an angel sent from heaven, she often said in amazement. When Femi finally proposed, Kemi said yes without hesitation. Their wedding was beautiful, full of joy and laughter. But just before the couple left, Mama Kemi pulled Femi aside and leaned in close. "My son," she whispered, "may God be with you. If you ever leave this girl alone in a quiet place, she might fall asleep and forget to wake up." Femi laughed, brushing it off. He had no idea what he was getting himself into. At first, Kemi really tried. She woke up early, cleaned the house, made breakfast, and even woke Femi up for morning devotion. Femi was overjoyed. "Thank you, Lord, our marriage is working." But about a month in, the signs started to show. The next week, she missed picking up his clothes from the dry cleaner she'd fallen asleep watching television. Then came the real shocker. Femi came home early one day and found Kemi fast asleep on the floor, broom in hand, right in the middle of sweeping the compound. "Kemi, what happened?" he yelled. When Kemi became pregnant, things took a new turn and not for the better. She slept from morning until only heaven knew when. "Kemi, this isn't normal," Femi cried. "Pregnancy comes with sleep," she replied calmly. "My baby needs rest." "But you're the one sleeping, not the baby." "Yes," she said, curling deeper under the blanket, "because we are one." After the baby was born, Femi hoped the sleepless spell would finally break. But motherhood didn't cure Kemi's mysterious gift. One afternoon, Femi came home to find the living room in total chaos. Toys, diapers, and clothes were everywhere. In the middle of the mess, the baby sat chewing on a television remote while Kemi was fast asleep on the couch. "Kemi, you slept through all this." I didn't hear anything," she murmured, rubbing her eyes. "I must have gone into a really deep sleep." At his wits' end, Femi called for Reinforcement's mother and his mother-in-law. When they arrived, he poured out his heart, ending with a warning. If Kemi kept endangering their son with her constant sleeping, he might have to make a difficult decision. Kemi's mother pulled her aside and hissed, "Didn't I tell you marriage isn't a playground? You better sit up and make it work." "Mama, I am trying," Kemi whined. "Just a little sleep now and then." "If your husband takes action because of this nonsense, don't come crying to me," her mother snapped. She returned to the sitting room, gave Femi's mother a polite hug, and left without another word. When their son Donald turned 7 months old, Femi stopped by the house one afternoon to grab a document. As he stepped inside, he found Kemi fast asleep on the sofa, snoring softly. "Hi, babe. How are you? You didn't go to the market again?" he asked. Still half asleep, she mumbled, "I'm back." Femi looked around. "Where's Donald?" Kemi's eyes shot open. In a panic, she leapt to her feet and dashed outside. Femi followed close behind. She flung open the car door and screamed, "Donald!" Without a word, Femi grabbed the baby, jumped into his own car, and sped off to the hospital. An hour later, after thorough tests, the doctor returned with Donald in his arms. "Thank God you brought him in when you did," he told Femi. He's stable now. Back at home, Femi calmly told Kemi, "Pack your things, and Donald's too. I'll pack mine." Startled, Kemi looked up. "Wait, what's going on?" "We're going on a vacation," he said with a tight smile. Barely 10 minutes into the drive, Kemi had already dozed off, snoring gently in the passenger seat. Femi glanced at her, sighed, and changed direction straight to her mother's house. When they arrived, he pulled up to the gate and gently nudged her awake. "We're here." Still groggy, Kemi stepped out, confused. "What's this? Where are we?" She reached into her bag for her phone and called him as he pulled away. "Babe, what's going on?" Femi's voice came through, calm but firm. "Stay with your mother for now. I need space to think." "What about my son?" she asked, voice trembling. "He'll be fine," Femi said. "Right now, he's safer with me. Please take care of yourself." And with that, he ended the call. Kemi knocked urgently at the gate, her heart racing. Her mother appeared at the gate, looking stern. "What do you want here?" she asked sharply. "My husband dropped me off and he drove off," Kemi said, trying to explain. Mama Kemi crossed her arms. "Go and wait for him at home then. This is my husband's house, not a hotel." With that, Mama Kemi refused to let her in. "Come back when you can stay awake for 6 hours straight." That night, Kemi took a taxi to a nearby hotel where she stayed for the next 2 weeks. She called Femi repeatedly, but he never answered. Desperate, she pleaded with her mother to let her return home, but Mama Kemi flatly refused. The reality set in quickly. Kemi was running out of cash, and her hotel bill had already been overdue for 2 days. One day, while sitting in the lobby, she overheard one of the security guards talking about the management's intention to hire a female security guard. Desperate, Kemi approached the manager and begged for the job. After much persuasion, the manager finally agreed. "I'll give you the job, but it's on probation," the manager said. "These are the rules you must follow." He handed her a list, but the one that stood out most was, "If you sleep for even a second while on duty, consider yourself out of this job." It was tough for Kemi at first. The temptation to sleep was overwhelming, but she knew she couldn't give up. Determined to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, keep her job, and learn to conquer sleep, she endured. She prayed for strength and developed strategies to stay awake. Slowly but surely, she conquered her exhaustion and learned to fight sleep. After months of hard work, Kemi returned to her mother's house. She sat her mother down and explained everything that had happened, telling her about her transformation. Mama Kemi listened carefully and observed her for a few weeks. "You've really learned and conquered," Mama Kemi said at last. "Tomorrow I'll take you back to your husband." The next day, Kemi went back to Femi. Standing before him, she said, "I now understand the value of staying awake. Please, give me one chance to earn your trust." Femi looked at her, a slow smile spreading across his face. "Go greet my mother. She's inside." Kemi nearly fainted with joy. She had fought her battle with sleep, and she had won. And just like that, Kemi learned that sometimes the hardest battles are the ones fought within ourselves. She didn't just conquer sleep, she found the strength to rise, rebuild, and earn the trust she had once lost. Femi may have given her a chance, but it was her perseverance that truly brought them back together. Because in the end, it's not just about staying awake, it's about staying strong. If this story made you laugh, cry, or whisper, "Nah, wow," under your breath, then don't just scroll away. Subscribe now, smash that like button, and drop a comment even if it's just, "Kemi, why?"